Identity is a very diverse ecosystem, probably one of the verticals in security where business and security has to come together and operate really well. It is very hard to separate security and governance and audit in identity, particularly in relate to any other vertical like network or endpoint or detection and response. It matters now because of the change we ourselves have gone through. There is a difference in depth is the common way of dealing with security. We have two layers that are guaranteed and private for you. One is your endpoint.
Yeah.
Most of your employees and systems use trusted known endpoint that you control and manage. Then network. There is a VPN or some private network that guarantees access to resources. Those two layers don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
We felt like there's a huge gap in having a security program in identity versus operations and management program in identity.
Welcome to Data Security Council of India's Security Chiefs podcast. Today we have with us Jagadeesh Kunda, who is a co-founder and chief operating officer for Oleria Security. Jagadeesh, welcome to India and welcome to Data Security Council of India.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to meet you and the Data Security Council of India team.
Jagadeesh, one part of the thing that we do as a security chief podcast with the founder like you is the story, right? How you thought about this idea, but before that idea, what led you? What is your career journey and where that idea of starting your own clicked in, and why this space that you thought about and how you started basically?
Yeah. So my background, I worked at companies like Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, Salesforce, and a startup, and this is the second one. At Salesforce in particular, I led identity and access management program there. During my tenure at Salesforce acquired 30, 40 companies in the matter of 4 or 5 years. Identity is a very diverse ecosystem, probably one of the verticals in security where business and security has to come together and operate really well. At that time, when we look at the identity ecosystem and how it is transforming, we observed 3 trends. 7 out of the 10 incidents during that period were identity-based attacks and successful incidents. Second, identity and access management is more or less blocking business, right? If a business wants to deploy a new application, it has to wait for IAM team. Third, historically, identity is considered as a management and an operations vertical. In many cases, it is also under the CIO, not even under the CISO. We felt like there's a huge gap in having a security program in identity versus operations and management program in identity.
This 7 out of 10, I believe most of the compliance regulation, maybe probably 7 out of 10 are probably talking about identity management better, right? So one is the need of security, but also compliance is also demands you to focus more on managing identity better, right?
Absolutely, sir. Because again, identity is the intersection of business and security. It is very hard to separate security and governance and audit in identity, particularly in relate to any other vertical like network or endpoint or detection and response.
This identity till now was mostly human construct, right? The people seeking access to, people wanting some authorization, some authentication, and wanting to get access to some resources, compute and storage and many such kind of thing, right? So tell us about how that management of identity of the human and how that is now changing and how fast it is changing.
Yeah. So we explain this journey as the journey of delegation. If you look at the last 20 years, regardless of identity for a second, humans and enterprises are trying to delegate tasks to systems and hardware and software, and now towards AI. Every time a human tries to delegate a task to a software, here is where non-human identity comes in play, or in our technical world, we sometimes call delegate or impersonation. The transition from web, which was allowed us to do a lot of reach, is what we call in delegation. Cloud allowed us to delegate the infrastructure to cloud providers. SaaS allowed us to delegate a lot of human tasks to automation. Now we are trying to delegate to AI, and the expectation is to make it as autonomous as possible. There are three things we have to remember here. The speed at which we transition from web delegation to cloud delegation, cloud to SaaS, and SaaS to AI are transitioning from taking a decade to the transition to few quarters for the transition. So the speed at which this transition is happening is really concerning when I speak to a lot of CISOs, CIOs, and the founders. The second is the delegation is only possible when you can govern the delegation, right? So easiest is if you want to put an autonomous car, the autonomous car has the context, it is trained, it has a lot of checks and balances, but it is also human in the loop. If that kind of runtime delegation governance doesn't exist, we can't scale to it.
Yeah. Let's dwell on this, right? So delegation to software and managing identities for software is one thing, but now we always say there is a purpose that we want to achieve, and the software providing the mean. Now with the purpose and mean, there is intelligence which is coming in.
Yeah.
And this intelligence is not like just providing reasoning. The intelligence is helping us to take actions as well, right? Yeah. And that's what the agentic AI that we talk about, right? Yes. So what is qualitative difference between identity management for a software vis-a-vis the identity management that we would have to think about when AIs are taking those actions, basically?
Yeah. The three differences: context, time, human in the loop. If you take identity management, human in the loop is the way we do it today. There are a few things like just in time that can run through. Time, you can take a few hours, few days also to do this. And context. Context is actually the person who is making the decision. If you want to replace these three in the identity management and runtime security and governance, first of all, the distance between management, governance, and security doesn't exist anymore. It's like three pieces of triangle became one dot. The second is you need to have a platform that produces this context on a continuous basis. You rightly said AI has a capability of reasoning, but it cannot reason when there is no context available at runtime at machine speed. Then you need to have something that can scale at AI speed. If somebody say I can provision just in time in 5 minutes, that is too late for AI. So the time at which you have to do transactions is more or less like how you think about credit card transactions, which protection comes at that speed, guarantees come at that speed. You still have backend operations and audit. That's what you need in AI world now, and very similar to NHIs too.
Yeah. So we'll come to the AI identity and probably NHI later on, but you talked about one important distinction, right? If you talk about identity, we always talk about management, right? But you have been talking about identity security. So why is that basically, right? Why we should think about identity security, and this probably is emerging as a category of a capability in terms of security. So what is the difference between these two, and why that matters a lot now?
Yeah. So it matters now because of the change we ourselves have gone through. So if you take a typical enterprise, pre-COVID is the best way to explain, is there is a difference in depth is the common way of dealing with security. We have two layers that are guaranteed and private for you. One is your endpoint. Most of your employees and systems use trusted known endpoint that you control and manage. Then network. There is a VPN or some private network that guarantees access to resources. But COVID changed everything in the world. Those two layers don't exist anymore. Some people use a language that identity as a perimeter, but I feel like it's more than that. The percentage of coverage for identity for an MFA is surprisingly still low. The strength of the MFA against these are also surprisingly still low. The second, when we deploy and talk to a lot of customers, we call it dormancy, which means unused identities and access in a company. 30-40% of accounts stale and sit. 60-70% of entitlements, which are groups, roles,
Yeah.
sit completely left out. If you take any incident from Midnight Blizzard to most recent Salesforce Gainsight incident, they're all trying to take advantage of what's been unused.
Yeah. So one is the dormant account, right? But you talked about the permissions, and that ratio is almost 60 to 70% entitlement, which seems to be unused. Still, so many compliance regulation and so much of the effort we have been doing on identity management. So I'm more worried about the permissions not being used. So means over provision, users exist in the system basically, right? And that leads to many of those breaches. So can you just talk about some of the security incidents which laid because of such kind of unused permissions and entitlement?
Yeah. So I will give an example of pre-AI and post-AI.
Yeah.
So in pre-AI, if you see even the Midnight Blizzard incident, there is a default trust we have between a pre-production and production environment, and we try to mimic these access between pre-production and production. But for the matter of fact is pre-production should have more privileges and production should become least privilege in the process. The identity and permission combination is the root cause for it. The identity being used for pre-production, also being available in production, is a dormancy problem, a hygiene problem. The permission being consistent is a least privilege problem. So it starts with visibility and hygiene in a single place across all your systems. So that's the root cause of the first one. The second one is, even if you do least privilege, for example, if you are an engineer whose job is to decide a price of a product on an e-commerce platform, the privileges include changing the price. But if you let your AI agent decide the price, your business can go south. So there are incidents in the last few months where AI deleted production data, leaked source code, and even did some egregious things like handed off their core IP. See, nowadays the IP is not language model or software. It is actually your assets, your prompt, your memory, and your project. People are losing that too. So the pre-AI era is visibility and hygiene problem as a root cause. And the post-AI era is how that is contributing at a runtime guardrail from a company standpoint.
So one fundamental question, right? Security until now worked on a principles of need to know, right? And we still struggle to manage that, and that's been witnessed in this number that you talked about in terms of dormant IDs and also the permissions. But suddenly now in the age of AI, need to know is getting a little bit replaced because delivery of intelligence is becoming very important, right? And that's where you take a decision becomes much better, right? So do you see the need to know as a concept vis-a-vis what we now want to more better access to intelligence basically, right? So do you see the world is a little bit changing from that concept of need to know to something which is different from in the age of AI basically?
So let's break it down. Why we had need to know? The reason we had need to know is the human on the other side is observing the signal and making a decision. The parallel of that in AI is need to reason. So does need to reason require a similar access as need to know is the first question we have to understand. So which means the access of a human for need to know and the access of human's agent for need to reason are not the same.
It's a very interesting analogy, right? Need to know and need to reason. Thank you for bringing that concept because probably some of these concepts will drive the discussion forward. And one is the need to reason, but need to take action. So agents would also take those actions. And are they really taking those actions in a legitimate way, in a way that they are supposed to be? And are they one who are supposed to take action basically? So let's little bit because agentic AI is largely actions, right? So one is the reason, another is action. So let's dwell a little bit time on what it means to taking action basically, right? When I talk about AI security, there is a perimeter zone, right? There is a runtime zoners, there is a persistent zone. We'll talk about how do you guardrail particular agent, what kind of rate limit and all these things that you can do for that. And but then runtime is on that particular action, what kind of protection that you can provide so that it doesn't take these actions which are not supposed to be taken. And persistent is largely the observing it better, basically. So on these three areas, how the identity security is evolving.
Yeah. So the term evolving is very important.
Yeah.
When a sector, and particularly identity security on the action side, particularly we call it autonomous side, is evolving, the practitioner should think about a platform that enables them to be ready with evolving.
Yeah.
Over the last 1 year itself, the definition of autonomous agent and what actions it can perform in what state and form have changed dramatically. 2 protocols were announced very recently, A2A and MCP. But in reality, a lot of software and data is not available as MCP either. So they're still connecting through API keys. Second, we went away from a desktop-based software development, but we came back to a desktop-based software development with AI. That's an evolution we never thought. Third, locking it down is not a strategy, right? It's other way around. Your business will stop. You will be in disadvantage if you lock it down. So what you end up being is you need a gateway that does perimeter runtime with an ultimate flexibility to the operator at the same time. This gateway should also be more or less semi-technical, more or less human-oriented. For example, if you need a deep tech data science person who can write these policies, you lost time. We have to use AI in IAM software too. Our organizations include some amazing people who have this functional knowledge and business decision to be made. Prefer and work with vendors and software where AI is induced in their platform, where over RAG and MCP, this context is continuously understood, which translates to runtime policies which are technical. Actions are audited and continuously learned, and the human is in the loop at the end. So that's how the transition is going on, but we don't know the future yet. So be ready and embrace the change, and don't be in a position where your intention is to locking it down.
I think this locking down is very important thing to dwell from the identity perspective, right? So we know in privacy we are saying that privacy enhancing technology is not actually technology which is locking down, but it's enabling the businesses, right? So it allows things to happen. It allows ideas to go ahead without compromising privacy. And same thing. So now the way you are talking about identity security as a thing, so it's a business enhancing identity kind of paradigm that we have been talking about. And we also started the discussion about how identity many times becomes a hurdle, there is a frustration, right? Frustration of the user, especially if we talk about business users a lot, basically, right? So there's always this challenge of not able to do at the time where they need to act fast. Most of the businesses need to act fast. So enabling the businesses to do what they want to do in the fast-paced world, that the way it is moving. So how the capabilities that you are building or the entire this space is going on is helping business to achieve their goal in the speed at which they want to do without creating challenges for the security.
So it is 2 pieces. One, the architecture of such a platform has to be completely looked at very differently. As I said, the time, continuous and reasoning is also part of your platform. So Oleria is built from that fact that we built a context layer and we patented the context layer now. The context layer is bringing several access models into a common schema where the data is from a HR system all the way to an individual resource for any identity, human, non-human, AI in a given organization. When you have such context layer that's continuously built, there are so many things you can do on top of it. Some customers bring their own AI. Some customers use our AI. Some customers want to use workflows and delegation in the process. So that's the second thing. When a market is evolving, like identity in agent, platform is critical. I think making decision to partner with platform vendors is very, very important, right? And the third aspect of this is your team ready for it? 5, 6 of 10 people talk to me. They're really worried about where IAM job is also transitioning towards. They don't feel like they're equipped in actually doing their job with an AI first capability and mindset.
Yeah. So the identity management going AI native, right? And you probably, that's a key play that Oleria Security has, right? So there is always a distinction, right? What is AI powered, AI enabled vis-a-vis what is AI native, basically, right? So when we talk about identity security, and purposefully use now identity security as the word. So what is AI native and how it is different from AI powered or AI enabled?
Yeah. So when it is AI native, there are 3 things that has to happen. Particularly from a security perspective, there is obviously context in management like birth rate access and stuff. From a security perspective, the posture detection to resolution cannot wait. Traditionally, in an AI slapped management tool, there is a flow that AI is enabled to automate the task. But what we are talking about is an autonomous identity security platform. The way you should understand the difference is how you think about the immune system in your body. So when there is a bruise, when there is a cut, when there's a fever, different things are applied to solve the problem in your human body with one important goal. The important goal of the immune system is to keep the human productive. So if you are not an AI native identity security platform, you will not keep your business productive. So how are you detecting and fixing on a continuous basis, similar to an immune system, with the goal of keeping your body functioning, which is essentially moving your business at a speed that your customers want.
And then you talk about one of the thing like this context graph, right? And graph seems to be central to what you have been doing, but every day that things do change. Organization nowadays evolve a lot in a day's time, basically, right? So there are these vectors I talk about when we talk about identity management. So one is the granularity as a vector, right? Second is the time, temporal as a vector, because every day things are changing, right? Third important part is the volume, the population, how many things, how many identities you need to manage, and that's the third vector. And fourth vector I see is for each of the decision you take. So there is this evidence and there is this entitlement, basically, right? You observe something and you also check. So in this 4 vector, how do you see the graph as a way to address is evolving and against this 4 vector that I just talked about, how the entire identity security?
So this is a very important question. So thanks for asking me, actually. So today, if you look at, imagine Oleria didn't exist, right? So today, if you look at how are these 4 achieved? These 4 are achieved by several systems in your organization, which are HR systems, identity systems, and critical applications. It is achieved by some extent of data somewhere you maintained. More importantly, it is achieved by your team that actually knows what to do with these. So what we did was we call them comprehensive first. Our graph starts from HR system all the way to a single resource. We translated every single access model into a common schema. We translated every entitlement into a fine-grained visibility, like create, read, update, share. We overlaid this graph with activity. So over the period, out of the box, the graph shows you the changes of access over the time at that fine-grained resource level. For example, in Oleria, you can simply ask a question, give me a list of people who touched this document on March 15th. You can ask a question, who downloaded this repo on March 18th. You can ask a question, can somebody do this action against a resource? So between blast radius, past activity, and a continuous understanding of the change, we're able to achieve this comprehensive, contextful data first. Because of the AI layer on top of it and this continuous change, we are adding, as you said, reasoning and actions within Oleria itself. So Oleria AI is capable of reasoning and action as an IAM operator, both from management standpoint, detection and response standpoint, audit standpoint, and compliance standpoint. So it's a matter of you prompting what you want, and Oleria can perform the action for you.
Okay. I'm just talking about the advancement and the speed at which the AI is going, right? So until now, you're talking about agentic operation on long horizon, and that horizon was hours, now coming to days, and maybe going to now weeks, and in some time with persistent memory coming in, maybe for months together, right? So one is the autonomous actions happening over the long horizon of time. Second is the number of agents that you can manage. So we are just dwelling into loop engineering for that matter. With some of the models, thousands of agents, sub-agents you can put together, and you can create a loop of that basically, right? And suddenly you can scale. So this scale, especially the underlying model's capability, on top of that what tooling is happening, and it's becoming more easy for somebody to just set up a loop to check how does this scale up basically, right? So the population is one is the number of different things that you need to integrate and get those data, right? That's one part of the story. And second part is the scale at which the AI, they're saying millions and billions of agents may require to manage, right? So how do you cope up with this kind of a scale?
By the way, we now have ephemeral agents.
Okay.
So if they from days to hours to minutes, now we have ephemeral agents. These agents are created for certain tasks. They're mission critical. And some of the customers are taking ephemeral agents also as a security reason. If you can create an agent with a specified permission set for certain action, they believe it can be a security strategy. Maybe true. Again, the evolution on how fast this is going is important. The way we deal with that is we have to be there where AI is. A lot of times when you look at products, when they think about AI agent gateway, they think about a scoped OAuth based AI agent with named identities and named scope. But that's not the reality. There are LLMs, there are non-OAuth applications, there are applications that are built purely on the browser sessions, some are on your desktop. So you have to be where AI is on the client side if you want to make it. But on the server side, you are doing a runtime operation that has to scale and there is no choice left for you. Think of a secure token service that's quite well used by every market, B2C and B2B. Oleria built something called a delegated STS service. It's not only producing tokens for a user, but it's also producing a token for an agent the user has. Because of that technology, we're able to apply policy at runtime. And we also have, you mentioned privacy, but our policy management is a DLP by default. Unfortunately, a good percentage of the prompts we see include key data in the prompt. We see a good percentage of end users not knowing how AI works, actually insert their API key in the prompt. They even say, integrate to this software, here is the API key. So there's a protection on the client side you have to do, which will help you to scale. And there's a runtime protection. That's how you balance it.
So one area which I want to check with you is because we as a DSCI do this AI capability trajectory mapping, right? So right now with Mythos, Pebble, 5.6 and many other open source Chinese model has come to a level, right? But with self-learning and then eventually big investment which is coming in there, and the kind of a debate happening with respect to the fast absorption of this AI capability in enterprise environment, I think, and that's what the big bets and big valuations are coming, right? So the AI of today and AI of 12 months from now,
Yeah.
if you look at underneath, compare the things that is happening for model, things which are going for memory management and entire data center revolution happening all across globe.
Yeah.
So if you see 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line, so how do you see the world and what the role that you see for identity security?
Yeah. So AI became an economic problem at this time.
Yeah.
I think we'll have, it's my personal opinion, it will have two parts. Are you an economy which can train, spend money and build new models? Are you an economy that you're taking a trained model and solving majority of your problem in the market?
Yeah.
Which means by this unit economics, I would put a very small percentage where the economy allows you to do it, and a large percentage of the world using the existing. Which means there is a different supply chain problem you have to think now in the model. How do you know the model is not pre-built to impact your business, sometimes even your government? So there is a new problem there that you have to keep in mind. Even if there is a supply chain attack, who you should attack? Think about it for a second. I think they will attack by impersonating somebody. They will attack by performing an action on somebody's behalf. They will attack by access you may have that you never used. But in the logs, it looks as if you did it. So the evaluation there is when we are in the economy where majority of the world is using an existing model, their way to deal with the situation is to always know what is going on. If you don't see it, you can't protect it. The second part in that is be ready also as an AI first organization. It's not only how you as an IAM team protect against AI threats. It's also about how you are equipping your own organization as an AI first organization. I think those two are fundamental for identity. As far as evolution is concerned, my honest answer is I don't know.
I'm just trying to contextualize this. Like, so, see, we always say zero trust architecture, right? I mean, at the end of the day, there is a reason and there is action, right? Those are legitimate actions taken by legitimate agents, and they are taken with a proper reasoning, basically, right? And while most of the zero trust architectural principles, we looked at network and we looked at identity, we looked at a little bit on application side now at the data level as well, right? So this architectural principle, what kind of engineering challenges it will face in next 2-3 years of time, and what kind of engineering effort would be required to maintain the kind of value or similar kind of value that we are probably getting it from the current day zero trust specific ideas and capabilities we build.
So in engineering side, there are 2 to 3 measures that are already happening with AI. Some companies are measuring by, is the code written by AI is sustained in my organization? I wrote a piece of code to solve a problem. Is it continue to be in the same way? That's how they're measuring it. The second you have to remember is the IP is no more in the language model or the software you wrote. It is actually in the artifacts, in the memory, in the chat that you have. But if you watch carefully, if an engineer leaves your organization, you lose those to an extent. With some of the practices on the desktop side, if you lose your desktop, you lost that memory too. You spent so much money in building that IP and you lose it. It feels like we went back a bit in the time.
So like, this is very interesting for the people listening to this podcast, right? So when you use AI agent for doing so much of things, there's a operating memory that it captures, right? And until now, we are talking about IP as a product, IP as so many different things, but we are talking about on that operating memory that is getting captured, and if we lose that, that will be significant kind of. Is that understanding right?
Yes, that's the real IP that you have to deal with. But to do your job, identity cannot be part of that work. The identity is by design available in the system. For example, Oleria announced Maestro a few weeks back, where the zero trust identity for the agent comes out of the box. and the runtime protection comes out of the box, and the harness in some way takes care of all the things you mentioned that the engineer has to take care, right? So that transition is very, very important. We're giving the same harness as a community product to IAM operators in the world, where they can be trained and equipped as AI first IAM team too. Remember, IAM teams also have to create agents to do their job better. So we have to play both sides. How are you giving the solution for your internal customers? At the same time, how that solution is enabling you to build agents to scale.
Yeah, this is very interesting, right? So you are saying that, and this is also globally true and very specifically true in India. A large part of security job that was created and would be created, still not happening right now, is around identity. And now identity management is not engineering work, it's a management and governance, right? So those kind of works that we have been doing it, right? And a lot of administrative operational tasks that you need to do, right? So there is certainly scare with AI coming in and with agents trying to overcome those blind spots, then it may impact a lot about job creation possibility or job sustenance possibility in identity space, basically, right? And you talked about this community play, right? So how do you make sure that the current people working in identity management, and this is very important from Indian ecosystem perspective. So when new value get created, the existing value get narrowed or destroyed for that matter, right? And this is new value in terms of identity security which is getting created. So how they could upskill to this new value creation, and more importantly, are there instruments and tools available for them to upskill to this new value that is getting created?
So we have a solution for it from Oleria. But I'll tell you a little background. Over the last 2 years, when we sell Oleria with all of these capabilities to our customers, the most common question I hear is either they are equipped with technology, but not with the right people to do the job. A lot of times they ask us help from solutioning to implementation. That's one learning. And second, I also talk to a lot of people. I would say 5 to 7 out of 10 people I talk to, they're really worried about their job, on what's going on in the future. So last week, we have invited a community of IAM practitioners in Bangalore. We met tens of these people in the room. They're really worried. They're really worried on where these things are going. So the evidence is in the market too. I'm just giving plus 100 to what you just said. So what Oleria offered now is a community-based, you can think of a workbench for IAM teams where it is AI first. It comes with an AI capability, which is like an expert in identity security, purpose-built and trained. It comes with an application builder where over prompt, you can build agents. Whatever the automation you do, you build agents. And finally, it can also help you to build integrations over prompt, write policies over prompt, perform code review over prompt, and conversation. So it's a community-free tool, and it works with any technology, not just with Oleria. So that's our intention.
That's a great contribution, Jagadeesh, I mean, especially in Indian ecosystem, because we see that's a little bit concern and sometimes scare as well, that what will happen to this job that we deployed thousands of people in India across the different sectors of industry, including the global GCCs coming, and most of them have been working on identity. And this is not hand-holding of just giving them documents, hand-holding which can help them in day-to-day basis, basically, right? So there is one thing which I want to little bit coming to Oleria as a engineering heft, right? And the space that you are in, it's very competitive space. There are a lot of big players. Then there are a lot of momentum happen in terms of acquisition, Visa, CyberArk, Savient, also raise a significant capital. So how do you see the edge for the player like Oleria Security in that?
So for us, we are in some words lucky in predicting the AI story. When we raised our first round of capital, ChatGPT was not announced. But our intention was identity cannot be management, it has to be security. Our intention was identity security has to reach an autonomous state. And our platform vision have always been that. When we go and share our vision to leaders in Fortune 100, Fortune 1000, Fortune 10,000, I think a platform-based approach is giving us an edge just from a vision and strategy perspective. The second is the depth and the breadth of what IAM has to solve is there. And third is our approach towards the community too. We are not only trying to say, here is a new tool for you to go and solve the problem. We're also trying to offer technologies so that the teams can be AI first in their organization. These three are making us a partner in the conversation than a buyer-seller kind of a relationship, right? Now, there is a need for scale. I just want to make sure that's very clear. One of the customers we deployed recently, they have close to 1 million accounts, and they have billions and billions of records, tens of millions of events and transactions a day. We are able to build a strong engineering team, and I'm very proud to say a good portion of our engineering team is in India and in Bangalore. And we hire from IIT Delhi, IIIT Hyderabad, and we are also having conversation with Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. We're doing a Center of Excellence partnership. We're doing a great partnership with DSCI. We just published a paper. So it's cutting across all these. Work with the right communities so that we give guidance, provide technology to help them to scale, and of course, provide the differentiated platform in the process. Now, the market change is concerned. I would say, whatever the total addressable market we think we have for identity, I think it's already wrong. It's probably 10 times lower than it's supposed to be, right? So it's a huge opportunity. In the last 3 years, from the startups and growth companies I know, I'm now thinking, is there anything hardly left that's not acquired by other organizations? It's reflective of what's happening in the market. But there's a third thing though. It's like how India went through having internet with a very small population and suddenly phone changed everything. AI is like that for India. AI changed everything for India and it's moving really fast. I personally believe the next large market is proportionate to the growth market that we have in the world. I would say if startups like us or even VCs, if they don't look into both the founders in India as a community and also customers in India, I think it's a lost opportunity and we are committed to it. We are here and talking to people.
So Jagadeesh, having based in the US, large part of it around those hotspots which have been developing all this AI capability and also having engineering team here in India, right? So there is this question about the sustenance of the engineering, computer engineering value, right? So the value you attribute to the engineer and computer electronics engineering, which has been, last 30 years have been very benign years for this skill, right? In computer science, in data science, now AI. So what do you think, having been closely working with Fortune 1000 company, on the other hand, engaging with this foundation model developer and looking at solving the problem and also being an AI native organization, do you see the scare that one hand people talk about that there will be no jobs for IT industry, there will be no job for tech industry or digital industry?
So I think AI is going to create more jobs than you lose, but are we skilling and offering enough to our community to be ready for it is the question. You will still market with AI, but how do you market changes? I will take this problem into 3 pieces. Let's take people. We believed in Indian market. We came and hired in India market and we talked to IITs and IIITs. There is a gap though. I was also asked to talk to other universities in India. The talent, it's a percentile difference. If I take the top 2% versus the rest of India, there is a gap.
Means you're saying the tier 2, tier 3 institutions in India, there is a phenomenal gap in terms of the way they teach or educate people.
Exactly. Because when we try to recruit them, the distance is too far for us to train. Right? There needs to be something else that has to be done, more practical, more real time, and hands on. That's one observation. The second observation is people are only reading the edge of the story. They see something happened with AI. There's more education required on the journey of the AI. Like if I'm an MBA marketing student, the journey has to be explained. Innovation can come with it. It's very easy to create a 1-2 person startup in India now compared to 10 years back. It is cheaper to create a 1-2 person Indian startup. I think they have to take advantage of it even more, right? I think we are in an era of more companies have opportunity as long as they create niche, purpose-built solutions for your market.
Yeah. So, but then I work with a lot of founders and large security venture founders, especially, right? And now there's a scare like a lot of these models are aggregating a lot of security capability. We had seen Mythos, class model, and many such models basically. So whatever value we had until now, right? So that seems to be broken. Maybe there's a new value is getting created, and how much that value would be. So there is two questions, right? So value is continuously changing. So there's a new value is created, but shelf value of that will not be that long. And second challenge is because of build, anybody can build anything. So for that one value block, basically, there's too many takers as well. A lot of services companies starting on product. Even CISOs are saying that we will build our own thing, right? For that matter. So how do you see this equation is changing or will be changing in some time?
So I will take the opposite order you give. So there is a huge trend about build versus buy again, right? A lot of people prefer to build now and not buy. But there is a hard learning. The consequences of building at the lowest cost is a skill. If you don't do that, your token cost is very high and loud topic today. That's one. The second is, it's a evolution, sir. Like take network. We moved from ACL to difference. We had policy to MDM. Yes, Mythos is a game changer. It has a huge impact. But there is a huge portion of security, particularly in identity. No two companies do identity in the same way. So AI is an internet-based knowledge, amazing knowledge system. But the context and the business decision vary, right? Like sharing a location in India, understanding a GPS coordination in India is very different from understanding an address in US. So if you want to build a model that think of it as a global model to understand address, I doubt there will be a real global model that works for everyone, right? Hence, I'm saying there's a lot more tech to be built for hyper-local, hyper-focused, and purpose-built scenarios.
And that's what you don't negate the model, but you use model to build those AI native in nature, basically.
And it's private to you, right? Like, will there be an organization, think about public-private sector, will ever somebody share their grid data to internet? No. Will ever share a pipeline model? No. Will ever share road? No. Traffic data? No. So which means there is purpose-built, very native work that needs to be done. That will change everything. That said, the upskilling is the thing, right? If you keep looking at endpoint and detection and response, we spent a lot of time, we call them SOC engineers, but they're essentially data scientists with some security functional background. So that's the transition we have to think of. There's many jobs that are transitioning to different ways. We have to re-innovate. Like DSCI has a lot of hardware, operational technology partnerships too. The hardware security that we did so far is very different from the hardware security we have to do now, right? So the electric technology itself, how many watts of power you can pump to a data center is an innovation by itself. So it's different.
So I think we did cover quite a significant ground, Jagadeesh, and we also talked about identity security and how it will be in coming 3-4 years of time and the scope that you see for that, right? So just to conclude our discussion, so there is this space which we all agree is growing and scale at which it is growing will create a lot of opportunity for this space and a lot of engineering challenges to also throw as well, right? So while we talk about overall identity security as an area, but let me conclude the discussion asking a specific question. So how do you see Oleria security in this space 3 years down the line?
Yeah. So we believe we'll be the single platform to run an identity security program in a given organization. We believe we can replace several tool-based investments into a common platform in nature. And we believe we are probably one of the unique companies that are not only providing platform to solve identity security with AI native autonomous story, but also providing a community offering that lets our customers to build AI talent within the IAM organization who closely partner with everybody else in the organization. So that's how we think we'll evolve. I also believe on a go-to-market side, we have a huge opportunity in India, and we are partnered with several people here too, and the rest of the world, and we hope we can grow continuously.
Yeah. Thank you, Jagadeesh. Thank you for joining us for this Security Chips podcast, and we look forward to all that possibility that you create for yourself, for the identity security as a space, but more importantly, those engineering capability you are building in India, and look forward to engage with you again with such kind of interesting, engaging conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Coming to India and having an opportunity to do a podcast, somebody like you is amazing. We're looking forward to continuous partnership with DSCI, and there's a lot more to be done here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.